Hey there, this is the Small Fish, Big Podcast, a show for the gallus few who dream and do. If you're a small biz owner, a creative freelancer, or someone dreaming about leaving your 9-to-5, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll chat with an inspiring guest who will share their entrepreneurship story before we delve into a discussion about running a creative business. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Small Fish, Big Podcast. Today I am joined by Dana James Edwards, aka Dana the Trainer, who is a corporate trainer, facilitator, and coach, and is especially passionate about her work in diversity and inclusion. Hi, Dana.
Hi everyone.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. So I know I've introduced you already, but can you tell us a little bit about your business and what it is that you do?
So you are absolutely right. I am Dana the Trainer. What I do is I deliver training courses to businesses, most likely. I do 3 kind of core things, right? You've already mentioned diversity and inclusion is the biggie. It's what I'm most passionate about, and it's where I would spend most of my time if I could, right? But in another life, I used to do a very technical job. I was a woman in technology. And so all of the stuff around agile ways of working and software development, that used to be me. I was on the ground, client facing, doing that. And so some of the training that I deliver is in that area as well. So depending on who you ask, they will probably say, Dana the Trainer is an agile trainer. That's what she does. So that's number 2. But in general, what I do is I help people work better. So if that's presentation skills or communication skills, business writing, stepping into your next role as a manager, all of those kind of core soft skills that are essential, I deliver training on and I coach as well. So all of the skills that you need to be successful in corporate life in a bundle is what I deliver.
That's amazing. That's actually quite a diverse set of skills that you have as well, with the technology background and then the training side of it. And that's really great.
So every time I have to explain what I do, I feel like it gets really complex. And when I first started off in the business, a piece of advice that I got was, Dana, you need to specialize. You need to pick one thing and specialize in it. If you're doing the technical stuff, please just specialize in that. If you're doing diversity and inclusion, please just specialize in that. Pick one. And I found it really difficult to kind of choose just the one thing, right? I mean, I spent such a long time studying agile and actually implementing large-scale IT programs on the ground. If I didn't do that anymore, I felt like I would lose that whole skill set that I spent so long trying to develop. It was difficult. I also like that my fingers are in so many pies and I get to do so much interesting work. And in the very beginning, when you're starting up a business, to be honest, you want all the work that you can possibly get. So if you're skilled in multiple areas, then why not make yourself available for all of the work that comes with it? That's how I personally feel. So, I mean, someday will I scale down? I might have to, but in the moment, I'm really enjoying the ride, even though it makes it difficult and a mouthful to say on a podcast, for example.
No, you know what? I think that's great. And I can totally relate to that. So I have 2 brands with my work. I can't remember if I mentioned that to you or not, but the wedding and family side of my work, I've done that for longer, but I was doing bits and pieces of the brand photography. And I realized I really missed, like, because I come from a marketing and communications background, I missed using all those skills. So that's exactly what you've just said there. I felt like I had all these skills that were just collecting dust on a shelf. And by combining the photography skills with the marketing and comms stuff, I was able to start a second brand and totally, find a way to make use of all those extra skills. So I agree. I think if you are a sort of multifaceted person and you can do all of these different things, why not find a way to incorporate that into your business?
I agree. Thank you. I don't want to just be Dana, the agile trainer, right? I want to do lots of things. And then also the opportunities that you get are so very varied, right? This week, for example, I will be on a panel for agile HR. So it is agile, but we're talking about diversity and inclusion in agile. And I think they chose me for that panel because I do both things, right? I have experience in agile and I know diversity and inclusion. Now, if I was marketing myself only as one or the other, would they have chosen me? Probably not, right? So for everyone who's listening, excuse the confusion, but it is necessary for me to do all of these things.
You're right. And you know what? You might sell yourself short a bit. And that's, I say that a lot with the branding side of my work. The thing that sets me apart from other brand photographers is that I come from the marketing and comms background. So not only do I see things from a photographer's perspective, but also a marketing one. And it's the same with you. So you don't only teach about diversity and inclusion or only teach the agile training stuff. You do both. So you can speak on both sides of that and tie it together better than someone who only has experience with one. So yeah, I think it's an asset. So speaking of that, can you talk to us about how your business came about, especially since it is so kind of diverse and interesting? I'd love to hear of how you took all of these skills and all this experience together and came up with a business.
So I started off my career in the UK working for Big Four. So I was in consultancy and I was client facing. So this is where all of this technology stuff comes into play. It's what I did. And then the team said, we need someone to go to learning and development for 6 months to help us revamp our graduate induction, the way that we bring new people into our area of the business. And I said, okay, I'll go to learning and development for 6 months. And I never went back to the business. I never went back. The 6 months turned into 9 months, turned into 12 months. And I think the minute I stood in front of my first training room and they gave me those smelly markers and a flip chart, I was lost. I was sold. I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm doing it. Don't get in my way. And so I was delivering all of the technical training to the graduates to begin with. So using my technical skills. And then they were like, well, Dana, why don't you deliver some soft skills stuff, some management training, some communications and presentation skills? And I thought, you know what? I'll do that. And I did, right? So then I started to blend the technical stuff and the soft skills stuff all together. During that time as well, I was very active as a woman in technology. We are in the minority. And so all of the work around getting young girls to see a career in technology as a viable option, trying to make the firm more diverse. I was involved in all of those initiatives since then. Also helping Big Four to maybe not be quite so elitist. So I supported programs to bring in people from other backgrounds to showcase the firm to them. We had mentoring schemes with students from underprivileged schools. I became the lead of one of those schemes. So all of this stuff was already happening in the background. The diversity was happening, the agile stuff was happening, and the soft skill stuff, it was all there in a melting pot. And the firm allowed me to do all of those things, which is how I got my start. Then a role came up in another company to be the head of training, which was like a massive step for me. And I took it. Unfortunately, while things started out amazingly in that role, I got moved to a manager who was a bully. And I'm not using this as a descriptive term. He literally ultimately got sacked for bullying a few months after I left. But I felt so downtrodden in that role, coming down to the end. I mean, in the beginning, it was brilliant, but at the end, it was kind of soul-sucking. And I thought to myself, I don't want to ever give anyone the power ever again to make me feel as bad as that horrible manager did. And so for me, that kind of meant stepping out on my own, taking my power back. And the day that I quit, I went in there, I was so strong, and I was like, you know what, this is it, I'm done, forget about it. And I did it, and I felt amazing. And then I got home in the afternoon, and I was like, oh my God, can you unquit your job? Dana, what have you done? You don't have a website. You don't have a plan. What did you do? Oh my goodness. And I had a total meltdown after, coming in from my position of strength. And I wrote on Facebook, guys, I am starting my own business. I'm going to be a trainer and facilitator, and let me know if you're interested. And just like that, people started Facebook messaging me, people who I had worked with at that firm, the firm where I got my start. I'm sure they won't mind me saying, because everything I've said about them has been awesome. It was Deloitte. So people from Deloitte who were still working there. So Deloitte hired me back. That was my first job. They hired me back to be a trainer facilitator, but freelance, right? An external one. So that was amazing, because then I could right away say, I have a big client like Deloitte. It was exciting. And then people who remembered me from all of the facilitation that I had done at Deloitte and had then moved on to other companies by then, started hiring me as well. And so I started getting Facebook messages in. I started to work before I even had a website. I couldn't bill people for a month because I didn't have a business bank account yet, because I hadn't even thought about all of those things when I just put my hand up and said, you know what, I'm doing this. So there was a period of absolute crazy, but I think sometimes you just have to be brave.
That is brilliant. And, I'm seeing so much of it lately, people talking about if you take too long, if you keep kind of going, oh, everything's set, I'm not going to do this until everything's set up perfectly, or until, I have these three things in place, you could end up putting yourself off for months or years or never doing it. So I love that you basically just went, I'm going with this, and you made it work.
I did. Looking back now, I think, oh my God, you are a crazy person. Who does this? You should have waited and set up all your stuff and then when you quit, you already had the business up and running. But I was learning everything as I went, and surprised by how long it took to do things. Like, who knew that getting a business bank account took that amount of time? I mean, who knew that? I obviously know that now, but I mean, not being able to bill people, and oh my gosh, it was a crazy and exciting and wonderful time.
But you figured it out. And so how long ago was that? How long ago was it from that Facebook message?
That was 5 years ago.
Oh,
so I've now been doing this for 5 years now.
That's amazing. And have you found that, obviously you've got things in place now, you've got a great website, and I'm sure you've got your business banking all sorted and all that, but have you found in terms of what you actually do, has that changed quite a lot over the 5 years, or are you still kind of working with the same?
So the mix of things have changed, right? So in the beginning, my diversity and inclusion work didn't have as big a lens and focus as it does now. So now, if there was a choice, I would want to put all of my eggs into that. I would want to do as much work as I could in that space. I think in the beginning, and I'm sure this will resonate with people who are listening, you just do whatever work is offered to you, and you aren't worried about the mix of clients and all of that. You're just like, pay me, I want to do this and make this business a success. Plus, you have all the statistics rolling around in your mind about what percentage of businesses fail in the first year. And you're like, I don't want to be a statistic and all of that stuff. So in the beginning, it was more like whatever comes, I'm going to do that. The difference now is I am more selective about the work that I do, about